Hello everyone, welcome back to Believer Science Academy Bengaluru. This is Daily News Analysis. Today we'll discuss some of the important articles from prelims, mains as well as interview perspective. So the first article is from the front page of the Hindu, which covers an unfortunate event, that is Himachal Pradesh landslide tragedy. What is the location and timing? It occurred near Balu Bridge in Balaghat, Bilaspur district in Himachal Pradesh around 6:30 p.m. yesterday, that is Tuesday. It was triggered by a massive landslide due to continuous rain, and the casualties 15 people died and several others trapped. So there was a bus, and the landslide collapsed on the bus, and people inside the bus were killed away. A very unfortunate and sad event. Bus with about 30 passengers was crushed by falling boulders. Three children were rescued alive and hospitalized. And the rescue and response is district administration has launched immediate rescue operations, and CM Sukhwinder Singh Sukhu has directed full deployment of resources, and Prime Minister Modi has announced 1 lakh rupees for families of deceased and 50,000 for injured. And the probable cause for this landslide was intermittent heavy rainfall since October 6, loosened the soil and rocks which started falling down the landslide and slope, typical of monsoon related slope failures in the Himalayan region. So that is the news, but we have to understand what is landslide. So the landslide, the definition is the downward movement of rock, soil, and debris due to gravity, often triggered by natural or human causes. So this is the mountain and this is the slope. So the landslide depends on slope gradient and gravity. So more steeper the slope, more vicious will be the landslide. So slope gradient is directly proportional to landslide intensity. Okay, so when this soil or the debris which are present here get loosened because of various reasons, the soil or the debris or the rocks start sliding down the rock, start sliding down the mountain because of the gravity, which results in a kinetic energy, which results in destruction of the people below it or whatever the infrastructure which is present in that particular region. The main causes are heavy rainfall, earthquakes, which is often the major reason behind these landslides, and deforestation, because when there are plants or when there are trees here, they will hold the soil together. But when there is no soil, or sorry, when there is no trees, when there is no grass, or when there is no vegetation to hold down this soil, it will result in extreme landslide. Okay, and road cutting, mining, all these are the reasons behind landslides. Few are natural, such as heavy rainfall, earthquakes, and few are man-made, such as deforestation, road cutting, and mining. The impacts are because of its high kinetic energy, high intensity, it will lead to loss of life, infrastructure damage, road blockages, and economic disruption. And the mitigation is hazard mapping, early warning systems, afforestation, regulated construction, and drainage control. See, most of these are preventive measures. Okay, because once the landslide happens, it is very difficult to escape the landslide. So, most of the mitigation happens in the preventive way. Okay, preventive way, that you have to map the regions where there are probability of high landslide regions. So in those regions, the construction, the developmental activities, the mining should be minimal, as minimal as possible. NDMA is the nodal agency, and the major initiative is landslide risk mitigation project by the NDMA, which is already on the 4. Okay, so this is about landslide. Next, the second article, a very important article, is about 2025 Nobel Prize in Physics. And the winners are, it is awarded to John Clark, Michael Dorot, and John Martinez, and announced by Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences, which provides the Nobel Prizes, like in commemoration or in remembrance of Alfred Nobel, who founded dynamite. Next, the key contribution of this trio developed a device that demonstrates quantum tunneling, which is a fundamental quantum phenomenon. Their experiments offered greater insights into the quantum world, where particles behave differently from the classical physical expectations. So, normally in the normal realm, we have a certain physical, uh, certain physical behavior attached to certain like certain items. For example, if it is a solid, it has to work in a certain way. If it is a liquid, it has to work in a separate, particular way. If it is a metal, it has to work in a particular way. But all these physical behaviors do not uh, do not concur to particles at the quantum level or at the nano level. But here we are discussing about the quantum level. At the quantum level, the particles, be it liquid, be it solid, be it gases, etc., have different physical properties, which has to be studied only with the quantum physics. So this particular quantum tunneling helped us to understand the behavior of physical particles at quantum level. Okay, what is quantum tunneling? Quantum tunneling is the ability of the particles to pass through barriers that they cannot cross under the classical laws. Okay, under the classical laws, if there is a particular barrier, the particles are not able to pass through this barrier. But at the quantum level, because of the physical properties which changes under the uh, quantum pressure, or the quantum pressure, you can say, okay, quantum level, then they will be able to pass through this particular barrier. So this quantum tunneling helps us understand why they are able to pass this barrier. Example of analogy is like a cricket ball that sometimes burrows into the ground instead of bouncing. Okay, normally, the cricket ball has to bounce. Okay, that is a rule. But in some certain cases, when it is spinning, instead of like bouncing off the ball, instead of bouncing off the ground, it starts burrowing into the ground because of various reasons. So normally it is invisible at the microscopic level, but the scientists organize the particles to visibly exhibit this effect. This is quantum tunneling, and because of this quantum tunneling, they have received Nobel Prize. The experiment that designed an electrical circuit using two superconductors, that is materials conducting current with zero resistance, and a thin insulating layer between them, called as Josephson junction. They used this method where they were able to show this quantum tunneling. The circuit allowed them to control how particles in superconductors behave collectively as one quantum particle and demonstrate flow of current without voltage, showcasing quantum coherence in the microscopic systems. So normally what is at the theoretical level, they were able to show it at a practical level. Next, the significance is their work deepens the understanding of quantum mechanics and its physical applications. It builds on early quantum discoveries that led to transistors and silicon chips, which are the foundation of modern computing. If they were able to build transistors and silicon computers or silicon chips, which are the foundation of modern computing, just imagine what they can build with this quantum tunneling and these quantum technologies. They will form the basics of quantum computing, which will be million times or billion times faster than the modern computing. Could influence future quantum technologies like quantum computing and ultra sensitive sensors. The quote is, it is wonderful to celebrate how century old quantum mechanics continually offers new surprises and remains enormously useful. That is given by Ole Ericsson, a chair of Nobel Committee for Physics. So these are the three persons, that is John Clark, Michael H. Deward, and John N. Martinez. Okay, and their electrical circuits can obey quantum mechanical laws, etc., which I explained now. And now moving on to the next article, it is Nobel Prize for Physiology or Medicine. Mari E. Bronco and Fred Ramsdell and Shimon Sakaguchi. These are the three persons who received Nobel Prize for Physiology or Medicine. These are the three persons: Mary Bronco, Fred Ramsdell, and Simon Shigaki. Mary Bronco, they received Nobel Prize for Medicine for revealing how the body restrains its own defenses to stay healthy. Their research was mainly on immunity. Okay, so the immune system must distinguish the cell from invaders to avoid attacking the body itself. And the Shimon Shigeki discovered regulatory T cells that calm immune reactions and preserve self-tolerance. They were able to identify, they were able to study how in like human body differentiates pathogens from the human cells. How these white blood cells, how the immunity differentiates between those two. And the Mary Bunko and Fred Ramsdell traced the Scurfly mouse's fatal autoimmunity to faulty FOXP gene. They studied this FOX gene, which is not necessary. They linked FOXP3 mutations to human IPEX syndrome, providing its vital role in the tolerance. And then together they worked, revealed FOXP3 controls regulatory T cells development and prevents immune mutiny. That is, which prevents human immunity cells or white blood cells attacking its own cells. Today, the findings guide therapies for autoimmune diseases, cancer, and transplantation. Very significant discoveries. So, they were recognized for their work in understanding immune tolerance, that is, how the body prevents its immune system from attacking its own cells. The key discoveries was that trio identified regulatory T cells or Tregs, a special class of immune cells that suppress overactive immune responses and maintain balance in the immune system. They discovered FOXP3 gene, which plays a critical role in development and the functioning of Tregs. They used this or they discovered FOX3 gene by studying mouse. Okay, studying mouse. Mutations in the FOXP3 gene led to severe autoimmune diseases such as IPEX syndrome, where the immune system attacks multiple organs, where immunity instead of attacking the pathogens start attacking its own cells. The significance or the scientific significance is their work explains why the immune system normally does not attack body's own tissues, which is a process known as peripheral immune tolerance. Understanding this mechanism has revolutionized the study of autoimmune disorders and immune regulation. So there are certain autoimmune disorders, that is where the immunity instead of protecting the body starts attacking the body itself. That is autoimmune disorders. So this particular discovery helps us understand these autoimmune disorders and find cures for these autoimmune disorders as well. Medical applications, it opens new possibilities for treating autoimmune diseases such as type 1 diabetes, lupus, and rheumatoid arthritis, providing insights for improving cancer immunotherapy, where selective suppression or activation of T cells is very crucial. It is useful in enhancing organ transplantation success by preventing autoimmune rejection as well. So, the essence of discovery is Nobel winning work reveals how our immune system's peacekeepers, the regulatory T cells, maintain harmony within the body, preventing it from turning its defenses against itself. So, this is very significant discovery as well. Next, the fourth article is from the editorial of the Hindu, which talks about a path to progress that is paved with good. The core theme of the editorial is article argues that India's next phase of Atmanirbharata, that is self-reliance, should focus on financial self-reliance by mobilizing domestic wealth, especially the gold held by the households. Okay, we are seeing tariff on tariff by various countries on India, be it USA, be it European Union, be it any other countries, which is a strain on the Indian export industry. So what we wanted to increase the GDP by exporting, the other says that instead of focusing on other countries, we should, or instead of focusing on FDI for investment, focus on domestic wealth itself. Focus on the wealth that is held by the Indian households, that is nothing but the gold. This gold has to be used as investment to fuel the domestic growth. That is the core theme. He emphasizes that Bharat can fund Bharat. That is, India must rely on its own capital rather than volatile foreign investments. So, in the foreign investment, there is foreign direct investment, which is less volatile, which is more reliable. But there is foreign institutional investors or foreign portfolio investors, which are like fly money, or fly capital. That is, whenever there is just a hint of any particular issues at a country, then they are the first money that has, or they are the first investment that are taken away from the particular country, which is considered as hot money or fly capital. Okay, so instead of focusing or instead of being dependent on this FPI or FII, we have to focus on building our own capital through gold. That is the core theme. India's self-regulatory journeys. In the Green Revolution, it achieved food security when India was not able to get food from the USA because of various reasons. And then digital revolution in the 1990s turned talent into nation strength. And in the COVID pandemic, developed indigenous vaccines rapidly. And defense sector today advancing towards strategic self-reliance. So India, whenever it is faced with crisis, has come out with flying colors. So common lesson is every crisis has been converted into capability through Atmanirbharta. Every crisis or every challenge challenge has been converted into opportunity. So now there is another challenge, that is investment. That is tariffs from different countries. So the outcome or the solution lies in Bharat or Atmanirbharta again. So the need for financial self-reliance. Since 2000, India has received over 1 trillion FDI, but the global investment flows are shrinking over the period of time. FDI and FII are volatile, which are influenced by external factors. As the global capital costs rise and the protectionism grows, India must depend more on the domestic capital mobilization. Excuse me. So, for the alternative provided here is the gold, which is the hidden national asset. Indian households collectively hold around 25,000 tons of gold worth $2.4 trillion, which is around 55% of India's GDP itself. Paradox is, despite this wealth, India imports 87% of its gold demand. That is a paradox. Between 2010 to 2013, gold imports formed one third of India's trade deficit. Despite having so much of gold at the domestic level, we are still importing the golds. Thus, gold represents both a challenge, that is the import dependency, and an opportunity, that is a domestic capital resource. So, the way forward is the gold monetization 2.0. First is infrastructure, that is, expand hallmarking and purity testing centers for trusted valuation, encourage formal networks for collection and testing to integrate unbranded gold. In logistics, banks can handle money flows, collection centers can manage gold securely, and in digitalization, introduce metal balance accounts, allowing depositors to track gold like bank deposits. And trust and simplicity. That is, remove frictions like GST and custom scrutiny on the gold deposits. And build a no questions asked framework with the transparent returns out to depositors. The economic rationale here is the cost of funds from gold monetization is around 4.5 to 6.5% cheaper than the foreign borrowing. And the benefits is it reduces import dependency, strengthens current account, and creates domestic capital to pool of infrastructure and innovation. And it also reduces dependency on the dollar, which will alternatively increase the rupees demand. And the broader message is mobilizing gold based domestic wealth is not merely economic, it is also civilizational step towards self resilience. Just as India achieved self sufficiency in food and technology, it can now achieve financial self reliance instead of depending on FDI or FII. This vision embodies the belief that India's growth can be funded, sustained, and led within India. That is Atmanirbharata in finance. So the concluding idea is the prize is unmistakable. An India that defends its growth on its own terms, self-reliant in spirit and substance, which is the need of the hour. Very important and beautiful article. Next, US visa policy and STEM talent outflow. Recently, there were certain issues from the US government where they introduced 1 lakh dollar uh, visa fee on new H1B visa users. So which has certain positives and negatives as well. So this article discusses the negatives of that one. So we'll discuss. The US recently introduced 1 lakh dollar visa fee for new H1B visa workers. This move is especially harmful for Indian professionals who form majority of the H1B holders, which is around 76%. Critics argue that this could drive away the very STEM talent that powers the US tech sector. Next, the growth in US STEM jobs. IT sector jobs grew by 40% between 2016 to 2024, among the fastest in the economy. Healthcare support and scientific research roles are the only other sectors with a comparable growth. Around 25% of the IT and healthcare workforce is foreign born. Very important to note here. A figure unchanged since 2016, indicating a stagnation in the foreign talent share. Next, the dependence on foreign STEM talent. Major US tech firms like Apple, Microsoft, and Meta now dominate H1B recruitment, not just an Indian IT companies. STEM occupations are projected to grow at 8% in the next decade compared to 2.7% from for non-STEM jobs. The domestic STEM talent pipeline is insufficient to meet the rising demand. So instead of being positive in the development or in the growth of GDP of the USA, it is going to hamper them negatively. The declining interest among the US students. Growth in STEM degrees. Non-residents is 148% and the US resident is only 47%. At the master's level, 45% of the STEM graduates are non-residents, showing US reliance on the international students. So most of the students coming up in USA are the non-residents who are from other countries who are coming in STEM industries or STEM education or STEM degrees. So there is reliance on the foreign or non-resident students in the STEM. So if there is new visa shocks, these students instead of staying in USA will flee from USA to their own countries or some other countries where there are lesser visa restrictions. Global response and competition. So rising or realizing there is an opportunity for attraction of the STEM growth, China promoted K visa as an H1B alternative with the lesser restrictions, and UK is considering visa fee cuts for STEM professionals. So the talent pool is going to go out of USA, go out of USA and the nearby countries or their competitors like UK, China, India, etc. And Germany has publicly inviting Indian talent via diplomatic channels. And Japan and South Korea are also exploring similar initiatives. So the bigger question, by making it harder and costlier for skilled migrants to work in the USA, the country may be weakening its own innovation base. The competing nations are actively attracting the displaced STEM talent, potentially shifting the global tech power balance itself. So this is something like shooting yourself in your foot. That is what US has done in this particular case. We have to wait and see. At least for a year, we have to wait and see what will be the implications of this H1B visa shock. Next, the prelims pointers: Karnak Temple, ancient Egypt sacred marvel. The recent studies, a geological study reveals that Karnak Temple complex originated on an island amid the Nile's seasonal floods. Over centuries, it evolved into one of the most enduring religious centers in the ancient world. This is the beautiful temple, that is the Karnak temple, which was under a flood, and it came out after there was a recent flood in Nile. The location and overview. It is situated in Karnak, Luxor Governorate in the east bank of Nile River in the ancient or southern Egypt. It is part of the ancient city of Thebes, a major political and religious capital. The complex is among the most impressive archaeological sites of ancient Egypt. And the construction and dedication. Built between 2055 BC or 100 BCE or CE, spanning nearly 2000 years, dedicated to Theban triad of gods, that is Amun, Mut, and Ponsu, known to the ancients as the most select of the places. The architectural significance, it is the largest religious structure ever built, very important. Features massive pylons, obelisks, statues, and the famed Hypostyle Hall with 134 giant columns. Showcases continuous additions by the successive Pharaohs. Who are Pharaohs? Pharaohs are the kings of ancient Egypt civilization. And the major contributions reached to zenith in the New Kingdom between 1550 to 1070 BC. Expanded under Hatshepsut, Thutmose III, Seti I, and Ramesses II. Later editions by Ptolemies, Romans, and the early Christians reflect evolving cultural layers. And the cultural and global recognition, it is part of UNESCO's World Heritage Site along the Luxor Temple and the Valley of Kings. It symbolizes spiritual and architectural grandeur of the ancient Egypt. Ancient Egypt, which is one of the most significant civilization in the ancient world. Next, second is Malay Mahadeshwara Hills Wildlife Sanctuary, which is in news in the recent years or recent months for all the negative reasons. So the current incident is a 12-year male tiger was brutally hunted, dismembered, and buried in the sanctuary. This event occurred 4 months after a previous tiger poisoning, highlighting the ongoing wildlife crimes. Recently, 4 months back, a family of 5 tigers with one female and 4 cubs were poisoned to death in the same sanctuary, and now another tiger has been killed and dismembered. So we'll discuss about the wildlife conflict some other time, but we'll keep the discussion to the Malay Mahadeshwara Hill Sanctuary. Where is it? It is situated at the intersection of Western and Eastern Ghats in the Chamarajanagar district in Karnataka. It is contiguous with Biligiri Rangaswamy Temple Reserve and Satyamangalam Tiger Reserve and Kaveri Wildlife Sanctuary. It is bounded by the Kaveri River in the northeast and Pala River in the south. It was declared as a wildlife sanctuary in 2013 and home to famous Malay Mahadeshwara temple dedicated to Lord Shiva, who is a Malay Mahadeshwara. And the forest types of the vegetation here is dry deciduous dominant and the scrub forest at the fringes, and the patches of most deciduous, semi-evergreen, evergreen, and shola forest at varying altitudes. And the flora species Lafiola, Boswellia serra, and Hardwickia pinnata, and chloroxylon seventia, and among others. Not necessary to remember all these things. And the fauna, it is where this sanctuary is very famous. In the mammals, you will get to see tigers, elephants, Indian bison, leopards, wild dogs, foxes, sambars, spotted deer, everything will be found here. And the birds, diverse species thrive across the forest types. In the tiger habitat, it is noted for increasing tiger population, making it ecologically significant, which also results in animal-man conflict. Animal-man conflict. So this is why the Malay Madheshwara temple is, or Malay Madheshwara Tiger Reserve is in news. So these are the articles which I want to discuss today. If you like the video, then please hit the like button, comment on it, and also share with your friends. And if you're new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel and click on the bell icon so that you don't miss any notification. With this, I will end the video.